everyone. Welcome to our group forum. Today we will be discussing the topic Immersive Horizon Navigating Virtual Realms in Education. Over the past few years, technologies such as virtual reality and augmented reality have become more than just tools for entertainment. They are now transforming education by creating immersive learning experiences that help students understand complex concepts in more engaging and meaningful ways. In today's discussion, we will explore how virtual reality and augmented reality are being used in are being used across different subjects, including science, history, and the arts. We will also examine real-world examples of schools that have successfully integrated these technologies into the classroom. Before looking at what the future may hold for immersive learning, joining me today are Farah, who will discuss the use of virtual reality and AR in science education, Ayin, who will focus on history and art education, Alia, who will share several real-world case studies, and Gwen, who will conclude by discussing the future implication of immersive technologies in education. Without further ado, let's begin our discussion. Farah, could you explain how virtual reality is helping science students better and understand concepts that are difficult to observe in a traditional classroom?
Hi everyone. So as the science lead of the group, I have to say I'm incredibly excited about this topic. Let's be real for a second. For a lot of students, science class can feel a bit dry. We've all been there, starting at a play to do 2D diagram of a plain cell of a chemical molecule in a textbook, trying to memorize it for a test. It's hard to get excited about something you can actually see or touch. But VR and AR completely changing the game here. Instead of just reading about a science, student actually get to experience it. Imagine shrinking down the size of an atom to see chemical bonds forming right in the front of your eyes, or doing a virtual dissection without a mess and the smell of the formaldehyde. It's turned passive, boring memorization into an active hands-on adventure. For the Asu and Lobster story, and this isn't just some cool say for the distant future, it's happening right now. For example, Arizona State University. They partner up with a platform called Labster to bring virtual reality lab to their biology and pre-med students. Instead of waiting in line for expensive lab equipment, students put on VR headset and get instant access to top tier labs. They can run complex genetic simulation and manipulate 3D human anatomy models. But my absolutely favorite part, they have to complete the freedom to fail. Think about it. In a physical lab, if you mix the wrong chemical, you might cause a dangerous explosion or ruin incredibly expensive equipment. But in VR, if you make a mistake and cause a virtual explosion, nobody gets hurt, nothing is broken, and you don't have to clean up a mess. You just hit the reset button. Learn what went wrong and try again. That kind of a hands-on trial and error learning is incredibly powerful. For the part leveling the playing field, what really gets me excited about this, though, is what it's leveled the playing field. Building and maintaining a state-of-the-art physical science lab costs a fortune. Most schools, especially, are underfunded. One simply can't afford it. But with VR or even just basic AR apps on standard smartphone, a student in a remote school can access the exact same high-tech technology lab equipment as someone at an Ivy League university. It's basically democratic science education and make it accessible to anyone and anyway. For the handing over the mic, so yeah, VR and AR are making science feel like a core and more like a game you actually want to play. But look, science isn't the only field getting a massive upgrade. Immersive technology is also acting as a literal time machine for story and the arts, to talk about how we can basically teleport to ancient civilization. I'm going to hand things over to our resident history and art expert. Thank you.
Thank you, Farah, for that insightful explanation. As you've heard, virtual reality can make abstract scientific concepts much easier to understand by allowing students to explore, and interact with them firsthand. However, immersive technology isn't limited to science. It can also transport students beyond the classroom, allowing them to experience historical events and appreciate works of art in entirely new ways. With that, I'd like to invite Ayin to share how virtual reality and augmented reality are transforming the learning of history and art.
Hello everyone. Today I will discuss how virtual reality VR and augmented reality are transforming the teaching and learning of history and art education. Traditionally, students learn history from textbooks, pictures, and video. While these methods are useful, they do not always help students fully imagine historical events or places. We are changed this by allowing students to experience story in a more realistic and interactive way. For example, students can use VR to explore the ancient Egyptian pyramids, walk through ancient cities, or visit famous historical landmarks without leaving the classroom. Another excellent example is the Anne Frank House VR experience. Students can explore the secret annex where Anne Frank and her family hid during World War II. This helps students better understand historical events while also developing empathy and critical thinking. Now let's look at art education. VR and AR provide exciting opportunities for students to appreciate and create art. Students can take virtual tours of famous museums such as the Louvre Museum and examine world famous paintings and sculptures in great detail. Students can also create digital work using VR applications such as OpenBrush, where they point in a three-dimensional virtual space instead of paper. This encourages creativity and confidence. AR also improve learning by displaying additional information when students scan an artwork using a smartphone or tablet. They can instantly learn about the artist, the history behind the artwork, and the technique used. This makes lesson more interactive and engaging. There are several advantages of using VR and AR in history and art education. First, this technology increases student engagement because learning becomes more enjoyable and interactive. Second, they help students understand difficult concepts by allowing them to experience history and art rather than simply reading about them. Third, they support different learning styles, especially for visual and hands-on learners. Finally, they encourage creativity, critical thinking, and curiosity. However, there are also some challenges. Our equipment can be expensive, and school may not have enough device for every student. Teachers also need proper training to use this technology effectively. In addition, some students may experience motion sickness or eye strain to using VR for long periods. In conclusion, VR and AR have great potential to improve history and art education. They make learning more interactive, engaging, and meaningful by allowing students to explore historical places, appreciate artwork, and develop their creativity. Although there are challenges such as cost and teacher training, the educational benefits make this technology valuable tools for the future of education. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ayin. It's fascinating to imagine students exploring ancient civilization or walking through famous museums without ever leaving the classrooms. Now, that we've discussed this educational application, let's take a closer look at how they are being implemented in real life. Alia, could you share some real world examples or case study where schools have successfully integrated virtual reality and augmented reality into teaching and learning?
Hello everyone, and today I will present the case studies and implementation of immersive technologies in education. First, let's look at some real-world examples from different subjects. In science, many schools are VR In science, many schools use VR to allow students to explore the human body, visit space, or carry out virtual laboratory experiments. This gives students hands on learning experiences without the safety risk or high cost of real laboratories. In history, students can use VR to visit historical places such as ancient Egypt or experiences important historical events. This makes learning more engaging and helps students better understand the past. For geography, VR and AR allow students to explore volcans, forests, oceans, and different countries without leaving their classroom. This improves students' understanding of places and environments. In technical and vocational education and training, TVET, immersive technologies are used to simulate tasks such as welding, engineering, and machine operation. Students can practice their skills safely before working with real equipment. Next, let us discuss the hardware and software requirements that schools need to implement these immersive technologies. For hardware, schools may need VR headsets, AR compatible tablets or smartphones, or computers with good graphic performance, interactive display, and a stable high-speed internet connection. For software, schools need educational VR or AR applications, learning management systems that support immersive content, and software licenses that are regularly updated. Teachers may also need content creation tools to develop learning materials suitable for their lessons. However, there are several challenges. The cost of purchasing and maintaining the equipment can be expensive. Some schools, especially in rural areas, may have limited internet access or insufficient devices. Teachers also need proper training to use these technologies efficiently in the classroom. To overcome these challenges, schools can introduce immersive technologies gradually, seek support from the government or private organization, share equipment among classrooms, and provide continuous professional development for teachers. In conclusion, immersive technologies have great potential to improve teaching and learning with proper planning, suitable infrastructure, and teachers' training. Schools can also successfully create more engaging, interactive, and meaningful learning experiences for students. That's all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Alia, for those excellent examples. These case studies clearly shows that immersive technologies are no longer just experimental tools. They are becoming practical solutions that can enhance students' engagement and improve learning outcomes. This brings us to our final discussion. Gwen, based on everything we've explored today, what are the key takeaways for educators and what does the future of virtual reality and augmented reality in education looks like?
Thank you to Marvera. As for the last one, which is visionary and conclusion lead, for the future implication, now let's look ahead to the future of virtual reality, which is VR, and augmented reality, which is AR. AR and VR are about to become more integral to human life in the next decade. The development of technology will allow for their improvement in terms of weight and speed, as well as the cost and ease of their use. Now, students can attend classes in virtual reality and take part in various experiments, whether scientific or historical. Today, the work the working process are undergoing a change. Meetings become more interesting because remote employees are working from their offices. There can be fun games, concerts, sport events, and even virtual trips. Additionally, artificial intelligence can be incorporated along with VR and AR technologies for an exchange experience. Although there are still challenges to solve, including issues of privacy, cost, and ethics, the prospect of VR and AR are very positive. As for the conclusion for all of this is, it is clear that VR and AR technologies are bringing education into an entirely new area, making it more interactive and engaging. Such technologies make it possible for students to understand things in way which traditional teaching cannot allow. The future of immersive education is very promising, even with the existing barriers such as cost and accessibility. That's all from me. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Gwen, and I would like to thank all of our presenters for your valuable insights. Today, we explored how virtual reality and augmented reality are reshaping education, from virtual science laboratories and historical reconstruction to interactive art experience and successful implementation in school. Although there are still challenges to consider, such as cost, accessibility, and teachers' readiness, the potential of these technologies to create engaging, interactive, and meaningful learning experiences is undeniable. Ultimately, the goal of immersive technology is not simply to introduce new digital tools, but to support better teaching and deeper student learning. With that, we have come to an end of our forum discussion on immersive horizon navigating virtual realms in education. Thank you everyone for your attention. We hope you found today's discussion informative and insightful.